My name's Joseph Carter, and I am the Mink Man.
When I was a senior in high school, I started learning about the American mink. I was told that mink were horrible, vicious little animals who were impossible to tame. Challenge accepted. I've been in love with mink ever since. I get mink from fur farms and give them a new life. In this new life, my mink live as naturally as possible, even hunting for their dinner the way a wild mink would.
So come join me on my adventures as we learn more about this intense little predator, the amazing American mink.
Good, Mr. Boone. Little Mr. Boone. Still got your baby teeth.
Hi guys, we are excited to announce that we're finally putting in the pond for MinkLand, and we're getting started on the work today. And we have Ed here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. Ed, the Pond Professor here. I am with Aquascape Incorporated out of St. Charles, Illinois, and we're honored to be here. I am an animal fanatic. My background's in zoology, so I've grown up loving animals, but more importantly, I love the water component because every living thing needs water, so I love to recreate natural habitats for animals, and mink are high on that list because that's a riparian corridor animal. And for those of you that don't know what a riparian corridor is, it's that area where the land meets the water. So it's that nice little zone where all the different animals come to congregate along that water's edge. So the diversity of the plants and animals found in that zone is incredible. It's second to none. And mink, they're one of those apex predators, so they're at that top of the list. So they love exploring those corridors, eating frogs, turtles, rodents, snakes, fish, you name it. I mean, that's where all that life lives. And we want to recreate a miniature habitat right here in your backyard for all of your animals. So I've been looking forward to this project for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to finally make it out.
Yeah, so the thought process is to have a biological filter located here. That's going to help to detoxify the water. So any of the fish, any of the animal waste, organic compounds that get in the water, this will help to metabolize those. So this is going to be a living colony of microorganisms. So it's an upflow biological filter. The water is then going to cascade over into like a little bit of a plunge pool. So again, just trying to recreate some of those natural habitats. We want to have a series of cascades and pools and all of that stuff. We model everything after nature. So these aquatic ecosystems, when we could get biological filtration, waterfalls and things like that that are going to oxygenate the water, it makes an unbelievable difference. So all that stuff is going to work together. So we want to have a plunge pool right over here, another waterfall dropping down into this section, and this is going to be the main pond area. The mink will be able to kind of traverse all up and down all these boulders and everything. And then we want to have a small pooling area right at the base of this waterfall. And then we're going to start getting a little bit deeper. And I think we have to discuss that, what your final depth you want to be. Originally you were thinking 18 inches. You want to go a little bit deeper than that at this time?
Yeah, let's do 24 inches.
Okay,
So
awesome.
What was the wiggle room you said between the high and the low? Was it 8 inches?
I think we could do about 8 inches.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, so at the height, the max it'd be 2 feet, and the min would be just over a little over a foot, so like what?
Yeah, about
16 inches?
about 16, 18 inches. Yep.
So yeah, that would be. Yeah, I think that would be just fine.
Okay.
So I'm curious with the different like pools. Is the water leading to and from each area? Is it going to be real shallow? Like what? I guess let me get to that
we
point.
could make it like that. It's up to you.
What would be kind of cool, because I train mink at various different levels. We got little guys like him who can like barely swim, all the way up to adults that are experts. What would be kind of cool is if we could, and it doesn't need to be completely separated, but a way that we could like put fish in one pool for a baby mink to practice on.
Okay.
Like leading down. So it doesn't need like a cut separation, just if the water's shallow enough or trickling through stones or some way that the fish couldn't maneuver easily to the next body work. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's not a necessity, just a food for thought.
We can
That would be
definitely do that.
that would be kind of cool to. Okay, this is the experienced mink. This
Yeah,
is the
totally.
medium, and this is the little tiny babies you could barely swim.
Yeah, we could totally do that. We
That'd
could have
be kinda
this,
cool.
this upper area here, we could have 6 inches of water. We can go down to 10 or 12 inches of water in this section, and then we can go 24 inches over there.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah,
that would
we
make
can totally
it.
do
That
that.
would be like 3 ponds in one for me. So.
No, we can totally do that. I don't see a problem with that at all.
Okay, so other things to think about is when we're doing this, if the fish can get, and we're usually using some smaller fish,
Yeah.
if they can go out into crevices and hide,
Yes.
we'll have 2 problems. If the crevice is small enough, the fish just gets away from the mink. They don't even have a chase.
Yeah.
So it's just things to think about. Obviously, there'll be certain things we just can't fix.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, just some food for thought.
Okay.
If they can get in and get away from the mink, it kind of almost defeats the purpose. It's gonna be real hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't ruin it. It's just gonna be difficult.
Yep.
Another thing is if the gaps are big enough the mink can fit in,
Yes.
then the fish are cornered and it's not even a chase. He just
Okay.
goes in and pulls them out. Anyway, just food for thought. I don't know what you can do about that. I understand it is what it is.
So what we'll do, so to keep the fish from going inside, so normally what we try to do in that application, as you can see, we got big boulders, so there's going to be all types of cracks and crevices and stuff in between the boulders. But what we can do is fill behind them with some of this crushed stone. I know Mark has a bunch of crushed stone in his trailer, so we could fill in and we could try to minimize those joints as much as possible.
Yeah, the more I mean, there's
we can do
obviously
that.
only so much you can do, but
And then I also think what we can do is we can come in with a pipe system behind some of the boulders, so we could actually kind of create underwater tubes and tunnels where the fish could actually go in, but the mink would be able to go right behind them, but we could have multiple exit points. So we could put in a series of T's and things like that, so actually fish can get out, the mink could kind of get in there, swim around, and I'm thinking probably up to about a 6-inch pipe.
Yeah.
So we could get that behind the boulders, inside the boulder wall, and then we could disguise it all. So when we're done, you're not going to see any of that stuff. But underwater, it's just going to be this whole maze of trails and stuff like that. And we could have that in one of the pools, we could have it in both, or we could have it in none. That's up to you. But I commonly put those types of tunnels and things in place, and it's usually to protect animals from predators like this. So we create what we call fish caves, where the fish can get away from potential predators. The big ones out by us in the Midwest are going to be mink and the great blue heron. Mink are very, very hard. They're almost impossible to protect your fish from. You know, they're incredible hunters. So they will come in and systematically they will remove fish out of your pond.
yeah, especially if you have slower fish like koi.
Well, koi, exactly. And the
just
koi are big, they're
slow.
sluggish, exactly. It's not a game fish, you know, they're just not designed for that. So yeah, we battle that on a regular basis. So this is kind of a little bit of a twist for us. And actually I love it because this is the stuff that I get into. I mean, this is going to be a really, really cool project.
Cool. So I like the tunnel idea. So I'm thinking about that. So one trick is we got to make sure they stay submerged all the time, regardless of the water level. Because if they can get air in there, they'll store stuff, and then it'll rot.
Okay, not a
we'll
problem.
have rotting fish.
Yeah,
and
we
things
can
like
do that.
So just be aware of that. And then I'm wondering, it would be kind of cool to have a tunnel system I could access and do training on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm wondering if I really want that buried, or if that's something I want to just like add and take away on my own with just like a exterior pipe.
Yeah. Well, as we're building it,
We'll think about
we'll
it.
think about it.
I'll think about that.
So the other thing that we can do, if you're worried about them storing anything inside, we could also take the pump that we have here is up to 8,000 gallons per hour. So it's more than enough from a filtration standpoint. We could actually tee off of that line. We could take a small percentage of it and discharge it inside of that pipe. So there's a constant
flow?
there's a little bit of flow going through that pipe all the time. So it'll keep material from accumulating inside
That would probably be a good idea. I would have it make sure it's a real slow flow.
It would be slow
But
because
if it's-
we would probably, so it would go from probably like a 1-inch pipe into 6-inch.
Yeah.
So there's no possible way it's going to have a strong current going through
Yeah.
there. We'd have a huge reduction in velocity.
I think that would be cool because I would any little debris they happen to carry up there.
Yeah.
Because I do have a friend who claims he's had mink that store underwater. I've
Okay.
never seen it, and I've
Yeah.
been like, really? Like,
Yeah.
did you just get a fluke mink? Like, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
So let's do that just to be safe.
Okay.
Just to kind of a slow, gentle flow, so that if they do stick anything up in there, it's going to work its way back out again. That would be just a safety precaution.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have the exit point at the deepest portion, and then we'll kind of build everything kind of at an angle. So when we have the flow coming in on the high side, it's going to naturally want to flush it out.
Flush it out, just kind of
to that lower section.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
This wish we did that.
Yeah.
Huh?
All right, so what we have, you can see this heavy duty felt. So we have 2 layers of this material. So this is, the rubber membrane actually holds the water in place. Okay. So this is EPDM rubber, it's guaranteed for 20 years. The main thing that's gonna break this down is UV radiation. We've completely taken that out of the equation by covering it up. Plus we're gonna have rock and gravel on top of it. But this heavy duty fabric increases the load bearing capacity. It's almost like adding steel mesh to concrete. Gives it a lot more strength. So that's going to help strengthen up the rubber membrane. This is also going to protect it if the mink are in here and if they want to dig or anything, they are not going to go through this. This is hard to cut with a razor knife. Like, it's really, really tough. And we're going to have a layer of river rock over everything. So we have a nice, good barrier. I use this for alligators. I've used this for alligator snapping turtles. I've used it for all different types of animals. So I don't think the mink are going to be an issue. Over here, this is our pre-filter. So the pump is going to be located down inside of here. So we have, this will have a connection right over in here. We have a fake rock that's going to go over the top of this. This, the main pipe goes over to your biological filter, which is set up there on the top. This little 3/4 inch pipe right here, this is going to take a small amount of the water and it's going to send it into that tunnel system over there to make sure that we're flushing everything out. These aqua blocks here, this pre-filter is going to get covered up with this big river stone. Okay. So any leaf debris or anything, this acts as a pre-filter for the pump. So all the water is going to get drawn down through the river rock, which is somewhat biological. It's going to go through these aqua blocks, make its way to the pump, and then it returns the trip. This is the area that you're periodically going to have to clean it out. We have 4-inch pipe going through all of this stuff. We're going to put a couple little stubs coming out a little bit further because you can see we're going to hide everything with rocks. So we want the mink to be able to go down through those little crevices, go inside, and then they're going to be able to make their way all the way around this entire U basically and pop out here. They could come up through here. This is going to be waterfall coming through here or fast moving water. We're going to start doing all these big boulders in here. We're going to work our way around. That's it. Systematically work our way from the bottom to the top. So what we have, so this is the biofilter. This is what you're going to need to clean out on a yearly basis. So we have some bio balls in there which increase the surface area, but we have these filter pads. These are going to be rinsed off, washed off once a year. You don't want to wash them off too regularly because this is going to be colonized by microorganisms, by beneficial bacteria for the nitrification cycle. So down on the bottom we have what's called a swirl chamber. So that's going to allow, so our water connection is coming in right there. So we're going to have fast moving water coming in from the pump. Water is going to swirl around inside of there, and the heavy sediments are going to settle out inside of there. So the sands and the grit and stuff like that, that'll accumulate on the bottom. The clearer water will then go up through the filter pads themselves. Then it will come into contact with the bio balls. I think we have a couple more bags of those as well.
And do you leave them in the bags or do you open the bags?
No, we leave them inside of the bags because this allows you to pull it out to clean it. So then you could rinse all these things off. So then we're going to come in here with small chunks of rock and then river rock in between to disguise this. This will be a waterfall coming out, and this was designed and patented as this biofalls system because as the water flows through here, the living organisms inside of the filter actually suck the dissolved oxygen out of the water. So they're going to consume it during their metabolic processes. So we want to replenish that oxygen for the health of the entire ecosystem, which is why we have the outfall being a waterfall.
Perfect. And so I would assume some of that biological filtration system also takes place down here through the rocks?
Yeah, so the entire riverbed, like any time you have a good flow of water going across a surface area, river rock is incredible because that's how it happens in nature. You go to a river system, you pick up a piece of gravel, and if you really look at it under a microscope, it's going to have stuff crawling all over it. And all those things, I mean, nature's perfect. I mean, you know this stuff, right? I mean, waste from one animal becomes food for another. So this entire system actually works symbiotically together to give the really the nice water quality that we're looking for, to create a perfect home for all different types of animals, including the mink.